Hey everyone, Cody Menz here. I got another What's New video for you here. Gonna do it real quick and try to get through all the news. There's 1.9.1 test server currently live. It's kind of a smaller patch with basically the Berlin map reaching standard battles, lots of customization features, some rebalancing and stuff for some low tier tanks. We also have some news, Supertest wise, as far as changing some maps around, so on and so forth. Let's get into it. All these links are going to be in the video description below, in the order that you see them, so make it pretty easy for you to click over and if you want to see any more info. So right now 1.9.1 Common Test Server is up. I am on it right now. I'll show you kind of the customization features they're talking about. Basically the gist of it, some rank battle improvements, because rank battles are going to pop up most likely towards the end of the summer if it's kind of like last year. New bounty equipment, basically vents and optics, most likely for the new battle pass that's going to be coming out towards probably the end of June. Berlin that we have in this PvE mode will be reaching standard battles. Also new customization mechanics, basically decals that will actually level up and unlock new decals as you kind of reach milestones for your tank. Also being able to change preset styles to some extent, and I believe all tiers and all tanks will be able to actually kind of be customized now instead of select tiers. Also some low vehicle tweaks. So rank battles, basically they're adding in more incentives to actually play the mode after you reach the leagues. That's the gist of that. Bounty equipment, they're adding in optics and a vertical stabilizer for the next battle pass, which will be nice. We'll see if they monetize it a little bit differently. Like I said, Berlin is going to be coming to the standard battle queue, after the PvE event, kind of concludes. The new customization, I will go into that in a basically second here when we get into the garage. And then the low tier changes. Quite a bit of tanks here are getting basically buffed for the most part. It's probably not the last that we'll see them kind of tweak some of these tanks around. Now when it comes to the customization, just pulling up a quick example here, like the M48 Patton, you'll see progressive elements. So each tank, basically there's decals, and say for like acing your tanks, say 5 or more times, you can actually use this when it comes to a decal. However, if you haven't aced it, you can't even put this one on. This one's basically for destroying vehicles. Then you have high caliber achievements. You have Brothers in Arms achievements, and then fight 50 battles, and it goes up to 200 battles basically in a tank. So nice little cool things that don't affect you as far as giving you like bonuses and stuff, but they look neat. They're also implementing, so not all of these do this, unfortunately. The older ones, they will probably have to tweak them, add that functionality in. But if you click on this new floral pattern, you're going to see adjust. So basically instead of there just being one camouflage, you can pick from several different ones after you already purchased it. And you can also change the emblems around and pop different emblems on, so on and so forth. So basically adding a little bit more depth to your tank when it comes to making it look how you want it to look. So pretty neat in that regard. Now popping over to some more news. Basically the 10-year anniversary event still kicking. Next act, excuse me there. It's basically going to be adding in this horn feature where I remember, I don't know if it actually, so it said it was briefly tested on the common test. I remember it trying to make it in the game, and they decided it was more annoying than it was worth. So thank God they never added it in. Hopefully I didn't scare you. I'm gonna do it again. I promise I won't do it a third time. Oh wait, sorry about that. So yeah, basically expect some beeping coming to that. There's also gonna be, so you can disable the horn, thank God. But basically there'll be some missions and stuff for you to complete as well, because they're gonna be adding in basically more not to say little trinkets and stuff, but they're going to be adding more stuff into the shop, and you can complete missions to be able to basically get some nice little camos if you spend a little bit of money, decals, stuff like that. and you can gain another gold key to get you closer to the 3D style for the T30 that they haven't released yet. So nice little things. Moving on to, so tank rewards, they did update it to where initially they were giving out so rentals of basically styles. I didn't think it was that bad of a thing, to be completely honest, but they they changed it to basically a single permanent style. So they did change that. I'm not sure how they're crediting people if you want to switch to that and whatnot. Some news from the Supertest. Basically, this was posted over on the EU forums. They're going to be changing Prokhorovka, so most likely just this spot from the looks of it. Basically, there's a lot of images you can click through here, but they're mainly changing to kind of buff this area a bit, also tweak this area, because right now the southern team is a little bit imbalanced. They're reworking Cliff quite a bit. So specifically this area, but you'll also notice, some differences here to kind of balance, side one and down here, and make it a little bit more fair, because right now the teams definitely don't have a equal chance of winning. So you can see some added info, here. There's a lot of basically pictures. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but basically some minor tweaks. The main difference was so specifically that center spot, they're looking to basically make this 5 a little bit better, for the northern team pushing this way, because it's kind of useless right now, whereas the team pushing from the south, this is pretty useful to use versus the northern team. Last but not least is Ruinberg. Ruinberg has some pretty big changes to it. Basically, mainly buffing the northern side. It seems like, which I find kind of interesting, and kind of mirroring it a little bit better. I'm not exactly sure how I actually feel about this. I don't mind the changes too much, but I feel like the southern team, because the northern team has a pretty huge advantage being able to get into the center road easier than the southern team. I find it kind of interesting because the southern team doesn't really have any changes. Yeah, like you have this little bump out in the field. You also have this area, but good freaking luck getting to it in a standard battle. But now the northern team has a better spot to kind of, fight here from. They have decent spots here to kind of nestle into, and also this area in 3. But, it does gain, the southern team does gain a little bit of places here to kind of fight around these corners a little bit better. So, like, if you look at these images, which ones were I clicking at? This one here, I believe. So, they added a spot in here. It really, when it comes down to it, it looks like they, I like the added changes, like, so it's not just one straight line and you can actually duck into stuff. Like, it's kind of a mesh between the standard one that we have now and also the PvE mode. But in a way, it almost feels like, it's going to be even more in balance. So these aren't like due to hit the live server anytime soon, like they're testing them. But one thing I just feel like they need to do something with this road, because right now the main problem is the enemy team is able to get really quick in here, and at that point, unless the southern team like actually pushes hard somewhere, it's kind of game over in standard battles. A little bit different for competitive play, but it feels weird. Like, don't get me wrong, these changes make sense in a way to kind of balance the two sides out, but I don't think it's going to have the result that they think. But you never know until you actually play the map, so what the hell do I know? I haven't played it. Moving on to so WoT Express. Again, all these links are in the video description. I would definitely recommend popping over since you'll be able to have larger images. Basically, there's going to be a TOG style coming out in the anniversary, stage 2, so definitely looks a little bit festive. Moving on, there's also the kind of map style of, so Dragon Bridge, South Coast, and also Severogorsk. I don't know how to actually pronounce it. So this is kind of the map one you'll be able to apply to most tanks. And then there's the Super Pershing with kind of a Stars and Stripes one. And last but not least is a grandfather one for the IS-6, which is kind of, it's kind of weird in a way, but you know, I'm sure people will like it. It looks different. Now, last little bit of news here, and then one other little, you know, 3D style. There's a new tier 10 Russian reward tank, the Object 780. Basically, kind of seems like a mesh between like the Object 260 and the Progetto in a sense. To me, the armor is really sloped, and I think the armor is actually going to turn out to be pretty decent in it, given the slope of it. Is it the thickest? It doesn't appear to be the thickest, but a lot of people are kind of guessing that this is going to be an auto reloader. But who the hell knows? I guess that we might see this basically as the new Clan War reward tank, maybe for next year. I don't think it's going to come out anytime soon. So, you know, you can pop over and take a look at some shots for this. There's only 3 crew members, you know, as well. And, you know, basically, when it comes down to it, like if you look into the stats and stuff, like we can't get the full view of the stats. Like this doesn't explain everything. Honestly, it doesn't look like the best tank right now, but honestly the armor is probably going to work out a little bit better than what people are guessing, given the slope and, you know, it's Russian. But, you know, it's going to have a long way until we actually see it in the game. Last but not least, there's a Strive 103B 3D style. Some people are guessing that this is going to be the next Battle Pass 3D style. There's also, so I doubt they'll put in the Battle Pass the T95 Chieftain one, but there's also an EBR 105 3D style as well. That's floating around 1.9.1 on the update. In any event though, that's it for this week. You know, thanks for tuning in. And you know, on the test server, really you can pop around and like look at the customization, but there's not too much to look at it. I do recommend if you're a new player though, albeit best to play during Russian times, because there's not many people on right now. You know, it's kind of late US time right now. If you are a new player, you know, your account's been around for say like a month or so, I'd recommend popping on. That way you can kind of unlock some tanks and you might be able to test out some tier 10, some tier 9 tanks and stuff too, and figure out if you actually like them. So that's one nice thing with the test server when it pops up. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and have a good one. I'll see you next time.